country known for mind-blowing road trips, one stands out among them all: the Dingle Loop Drive. Shorter than most of the other well-traveled rings, it's full of awesome historical sites, natural beauty, and even some Hollywood history. There's a ton to explore on this drive, and I'd suggest 2 days to fully soak it in, but we were fighting weather and time and only had one, which is plenty of time for a great experience. You begin in the ancient fishing village of Dingle, also known by its ancient Irish name of Andingan. Andingan is a Gaeltacht, an official Irish first language area. Dingle is a town that's very active in the preservation of Irish culture and has been instrumental over the years in reviving the Irish language. And you'll see a lot of the signs translated here. You see that everywhere in Ireland, but a little more so here in Dingle. In a country that's had more than its fair share of challenges in maintaining its own culture and identity, it's really great to see things like that. Once a quiet outpost for fishing and agriculture, Dingle has blossomed into a bustling town. We pulled in and settled into a comfortable, stylish family room at the base Dingle Hotel. Dingle is small, but there's a lot to explore. It's full of quaint shops and on this day, people trying to stay dry. There's no shortage of lively places to enjoy some traditional Irish music and a comfort meal of local fish and clam chowder. And on a cold, rainy summer night like this one, this was perfect. Follow that up with a stop at the original Murphy's Ice Cream Shop, famous for using milk from local Dingle cows. We hit 2 places for breakfast, the first one being the fantastic Bean and Dingle, where the pastries are baked by the owner's mom. Can't go wrong here. The second, and our favorite, was My Boy Blue. You'll find the best combo of high-quality coffee and baked goods here. Oh, that is good. Triple cap. It's the new Irish breakfast. If you got one day, one place to go, that's my choice, My Boy Blue. We began our exploration of the peninsula by heading west out of town. After about 15 minutes, we reached the historic site of Dunbeg, a stone fortress perched on the cliffs overlooking the ocean. In my opinion, this kind of weather adds atmosphere to a place like Dunbeg. It's easier to slip into the time that it was built and soak up the history. Or maybe it was just my clothes getting soaked. The weather, of course, is not cooperating, but we'll see. These structures date from the Iron Age to around 500 BCE, and evidence suggests that they were occupied on and off until about the 12th century. Constructed of stone, it's possible that these sturdy walls have been keeping watch over Dingle Bay for more than 2,000 years. 1,200 years ago, when this fort was constructed, diplomacy was all about intimidation. Either you showed up someplace with an army large enough to scare the people into giving up before the battle started, or you dug in and built a defensive battlement that told people, stay away because we will fight you. That's the situation here. They wanted to show that they were prestigious, that they were a powerful people, and you come at your own risk. I think they succeeded. Dunbeg has been steadily eroding over the centuries due to exposure to often brutal weather conditions, losing major portions of its structures in 2014 and 2018 when they tumbled into the sea during storms. Just a couple of minutes further along the road, you'll find the Fahan beehive huts, a collection of ancient dwellings called clochans, the Gaelic word for stone. They sit passing the centuries on the slopes of Mount Eagle. Unlike the structures at Dunbeg, visitors are allowed to explore these buildings, and they are awesome to crawl around in. So these beehive huts are called ring forts, and were constructed basically as farmhouses, and there's all kinds of evidence that they had social occasions in here, and there were several different dwellings within a particular ring. It's really amazing you can still go in them. This is an extensive network of buildings with commanding views of the coastline. And if you look closely, you'll see etchings like this cross, indicating this room may have been a chapel of some kind. Cloughans like these are similar to those built by ancient hermit monks on nearby Skellig Michael. This is the only known photograph of one of those monks. We hopped back into the car and even on a rainy day, enjoyed the famous landscapes from the Hollywood classic, Ryan's Daughter. Our next stop was the viewpoint at Slea Head, the far southwest corner of Ireland, where weather like this makes it feel like you're at the end of the earth.
A river crossing in Dingle. Awesome.
Next stop, Boston. To get more remote, you'd have to catch a boat out to the Great Blasket Islands just offshore. This statue of the crucifix marks the passage of one Catholic parish into another and is a good place to pull over and take in the atmosphere. The seagulls here made me feel like I was back in my hometown of San Francisco. The road on this section of the drive is beautiful, but narrow, and we had to pull over and back up a couple times for oncoming traffic, so keep an eye out. The coastline along this section of the drive is stunning to look at, but treacherous for ships to navigate. In fact, some of the ships from the Spanish Armada, after escaping the wrath of the British Navy, met their doom here on the rocks. And they weren't the only ones to sink a ship here, and I tried hard to spot the X-Wing fighter Luke Skywalker scuttled at the foot of these cliffs at the end of The Last Jedi, but alas, no luck. Our next stop, only about 5 minutes further along, was a chance to get out and stretch our legs. You can't get a full appreciation of the power and beauty of this part of Ireland without feeling it hit you right in the face, and the hike at Dunmor Head was the perfect place to do that.
This hike at Slea Head, boy, whew, it comes whipping off the ocean.
The 2-kilometer medium difficulty hike is a gorgeous walk up the slopes that leads you to these stunning views along the cliffs. For so many of the 2 million people who fled to America during the famine of 1845, this place is probably the last they saw of their homeland.
If you were on a coffin ship in the mid-1800s, this would probably be the last place you'd see as you waved goodbye to your homeland of Ireland on your way to the USA. This is pretty much the westernmost tip of Ireland, so leave from Cork, sail on by, wave goodbye, and maybe come back a generation later.
It would be hard to imagine a more beautiful place on earth, and we would have loved to have brought a picnic. The sheep here are part of the scenery and had their own picnic going on.
Well, that is going out on a limb for a meal. That must be a good little patch. That guy's really hanging on by a thread.
At the very top, you'll be able to check out a bird's eye view of the nearby Blasket Islands and a World War II lookout box that kept an eye out for invading aircraft.
If you go on this hike, you better be ready for that wind to come whistling over the edge of the mountain when you get up to the top, because it comes. On the plus side though, it did dry my clothes quickly like a dryer. I just wish it was set on warm side.
There are several gorgeous beaches along the Dingle Loop, and we had a chance to check out Clougher Strand. The last time I was here, it was a beautiful sunny day in May with calm blue waters to soak my feet. But not today. In the middle of August, the sea here was raging, and it was awesome.
Boy, I've been on a lot of beaches in my lifetime, but I've never seen raw power like this. This is just absolutely incredible. You can just feel the ocean coming in and making its presence known. Woo.
We took a couple more side trips as we were heading back toward Dingle, but the day was beginning to wane and we had one more stop that I wanted to make. Kilmurry Church. Kilmurry is a 12th century Romanesque construction and has roots that reach back to the 7th century. It has historical significance for its position along the Saints' Pilgrimage Road that reaches from the beach at Bentry to the foot of Mount Brendan 11 miles away. There are several ancient and significant stone features here, including this unique Ogham stone in the churchyard. Very few of these have a hole like this one. It's believed it was for the swearing of an oath, possibly for marriage. It's thought that they'd reach through and touch fingers through the stone. Now that's romantic. This more than 1,300-year-old sundial is considered one of the best examples in all of Ireland. And this stone, inscribed with the Latin alphabet, dates to the 6th century. It's inscribed with the letters D and I, which stand for Domine, meaning God. The beautiful carvings here at Kilamldedar are, for me, one of the coolest things to see here.
Ancient is the only word I can really think of to describe this church. I'm sure it goes back to the earliest days of Christianity here in Ireland. Whoever carved this stone did so back in the 12th century, almost 1,000 years ago. Sometimes you can just feel the power coming out of the walls of a place like this. Or maybe it's just that wind.
Although this chapel is identified mostly with the more famous St. Brendan, it was originally built by a local, St. Mulcater. I walked out into the Dingle sunset and caught this view. As I watched the sun sink beyond the Celtic crosses, I felt that this is something everyone who does this trip should experience.
Maybe it's because it's toward the end of the ring, but there was nobody here, really. There was a real power in that. You can just hear nothing but the sound of the wind and the ancient spirits. It's beautiful. It was late in the day and done a lot of driving, and it was really tempting to possibly blow off this last stop at the church here, but don't do that. This was a real cultural experience and I highly recommend it. If you're gonna skip something, don't skip this.
10 minutes later, we were rolling back into Dingle and ready for a hot bowl of clam chowder.